What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite Big 12 college football-centric YouTube show. That's right. It's the one. It's the only. It is the biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. And it is TCU night, folks. This is the one we've all been waiting for, okay? Like, I got to wade through your Iowa States, your Arizona States. Hey, you know what? I love all of y'all, but listen, this is the team. This is my team. This is the team I love to talk about. We're going to get into it down and dirty with two of my favorites. But before we get into any of that, I need some things from you. I need you to subscribe to the show. Let's make this thing a movement. Let's take this thing international, global, across the seas and the oceans. All right, at Big 12 DOCFD. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Need your help to do that. Tell your friends, tell your lovers, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors. Tell everybody about it and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know how to do it. This isn't your first time on the internet. You know how to do all the things. And while you're following, follow me on Twitter. Follow my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Creations, at Clint_Foster55 on the X, okay? And make sure that you're checking out the Voice of College Football on both Twitter and Instagram, as well as wherever you get your audio podcasts. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon, we're on all the things, okay? So catch us there as well. And be sure, if you haven't already, what are you even doing with your life? Be sure to check out the Voice of College Football website. We got a website. Holy mackerel, there it is. The Voice of College Football, VOCFB.com. Your daily show schedule so you don't miss a stinking thing. There we are right there. Look at us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're not talking about Eastern time here. We're talking about Central time for TCU night. But here we go. Lots of stories, lots of conversations, all of that sweet, sweet stuff that's going to get you through this long and dry off season where all we have is Greg Sankey trying to destroy the sport. And hey, another video game coming out. But you know what? Tonight we've got TCU talk, okay? And so let's get into it. Without further ado, let me bring in my two. Oh my gosh, these guys deserve. They don't even need an introduction, but I'm gonna give them one anyway. Previously of PurpleMinutes.com, my previous in another life co-host. We got Billy Wessels in the house, and the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Clark of Horned Frog Blitz, the recruiting guru. Gentlemen, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday after Memorial Day?
Doing great, man. Happy to be back here talking some frogs. How about y'all?
I'm great, Clint. Let's go, baby. Let's talk TCU.
We're less than 100 days, right? Are we like 95 days away or something like that?
I think it's 99.
99?
Until the Frogs. Let's just get it out of the way. The Frogs go to Chapel Hill. They get a 3-touchdown victory right now. Clint.
Ooh, okay. I love that. What's Jordan Hudson going to say about that? Okay.
You can't throw and catch the ball, Clint. You can't do it all.
That's true. So before we get started, we love to play a game here on the Biggest 12 to get ourselves loosened up, get our football minds working. The theme this offseason has been trivia. Last year we did a lot of tier lists. We're doing trivia this time. So I got 10 TCU and Fort Worth trivia questions for you two gentlemen that you are welcome to go head-to-head or work as a team. Most guests have opted to work as a team. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, we'll do teamwork.
Okay, work as a team. I will say that no one has outdone Iowa State in trivia. Okay, the average has been around 6 correct answers. Iowa State was 10 for 10. So that is the bar that we are trying to meet.
There's nothing in Ames that makes sense. There's nothing to know about that place.
a lot of corn related. I can't remember what all my trivia questions were. You have to look it back up on the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Okay, so. Question number 1. I'm trying to, we know the obvious ones, the retired numbers and the Heisman winners and stuff. So I'm trying to dig deep here a little bit. Okay, question number 1. Which TCU football star played the lead role in the Western film King of the Texas Rangers?
Jeremy,
this one's all you. Promised me there wouldn't be any math involved in trivia.
This is not a math question. I would not stoop so low as to ask you a question about math, Jeremy.
I'm going to say Sammy Ball. Heck, I don't know.
Sammy Ball is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Sammy Ball, King of the Texas Rangers. We are 1 for 1.
Is that on YouTube or is that Disney Plus? Where can I find that?
I don't know. I've never watched it. I don't know where to find it. Hopefully, it's somewhere. You can Google a poster, and also some set pictures. Okay, this one y'all should know. What two Southwest Conference rivals developed their hand signs as a result of TCU games?
Billy, I know one's Texas A&M.
Texas A&M is one.
That's where Gigging came from.
Gigging Frogs.
Yeah, but and I know the other one. Hang on. We gave Texas Tech the cactus thing. That doesn't count though, right?
Well, that's an emoji. Yeah.
Texas called us cockroaches, but that's not a thing. Develop their hand sign. Specifically their hand sign because of us?
Their hand sign / the saying that goes along with it. Giga Mags, obviously Gigging Frogs.
I think rivals might be the key word here, so maybe Baylor? I don't know.
SMU?
It is neither Baylor nor SMU. It is University of Texas because Jim Swink was so prolific in just running up, around, and through Texas. They said you have to hook him, horns, hook him with your arm. Okay. So there you go. We'll get 1.5 out of 2.
I did say Texas along with 7 other schools there. So
yeah.
I'll take half a point.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a Fort Worth question for you. I'm not expecting y'all to know this because actually I learned this in research about a year ago when I was preparing for my Texas history class, actually. So Fort Worth gained the Tarrant County seat, right? The county seat from this other Tarrant County town, during an election that involved siphoning off said town's supply of Election Day whiskey and handing it out to county voters. So literally people from Fort Worth stole this town's whiskey, handed it out to voters around the county and say, hey, you should vote for Fort Worth to be the new county seat. What was the town that we stole the county seat from?
Is this town in the Metroplex? Can you give us?
It's in Tarrant County. It's in Tarrant County.
Tarrant County.
Is Azle in there? That might be a little small.
Is Azle in Tarrant County or is it Parker County? Jeremy, you should know this.
It's both.
Okay.
We're right down the county lines.
Yeah. Weatherford's too far out there. They do love their whiskey there.
Weatherford's Parker
it's
County.
in Tarrant County. We've narrowed it down.
Arlington's got partly in Tarrant County, right?
I think Arlington's mostly in Tarrant County.
I'll say Arlington. That's a big enough city. It's close to Dallas.
I'll go with you.
It's actually Birdville.
Oh,
Birdville was
city?
that was the county seat back in the mid to late 1800s until Fort Worth stole it. And as the story goes, apparently after the election, in which Birdville citizens were alleging that Fort Worth stole the election with people voting that didn't live in the county, we literally rolled up playing fiddles in a wagon, took all of the county records, and then drove away as fast as possible. So there you go.
Where's all the corn questions at?
Yeah, I don't have any corn questions for you.
Wow.
Not a lot of corn around here. I guess corn nuggets. We do have corn nuggets. Okay, question 4. What was the name of Fort Worth's infamous red light district during the late 1800s?
That's
downtown Fort Worth. What was it, Billy?
Half Acre.
Hell's Half Acre is correct. Yes.
There you go, Billy.
The site of many a gun battle and whorehouse.
1823, isn't that where that started? That one of those number shows off of Yellowstone? Didn't that begin there?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyone watch that or not?
Would have been 1823.
1883.
Yeah. 23 was before the Alamo.
Yeah.
Fort Worth was not a thing yet. Okay. Here's one more Fort Worth history question for you, and then we'll give you a little reprieve from these for a few questions. Camp Bowie, the street Camp Bowie, right, with the red bricks. We both know what I'm talking about, yeah? Okay. Camp Bowie is named after a military base of the same name that was in this area that was built during what war? What war was Camp Bowie built for?
Is that the Mexican Revolution, where the Alamo was actually part of? Or is that too far? We're too far north for that, right?
Way too early in history. Fort Worth became a city in the 1850s.
Not in my mind.
Yeah.
Not in my mind. Civil War?
I have no idea. Let's just go World War One.
You are a great guesser, Jeremy Clark, because yes, World War I is the correct answer. Yes.
That's how I got through school, fellas.
Just guessing.
C. C's get degrees.
Good degrees.
Fun fact: so I live really close to Camp Bowie, and there's actually a house that has a historical marker just about a block or two away from me. That was the hospital for the base. It was the World War I era hospital. Okay, so that's 3.5 out of 5. There we go. We'll get that up there for you. We got very high-tech scoreboard here on the Biggest 12. All right. Since TCU joined the Southwest Conference, all right, so we're talking like, more relatively modern era of football here, because prior to the 20s, TCU had a different coach like every single year. But there have been 2 coaches that have coached for both TCU and SMU. Sonny Dykes is one. Who was the first coach to coach for both TCU and SMU?
You should have gave us the other one. I knew that one.
So you're talking probably in the 30s, 40s era.
Right. Yeah. So this is 20s, 30s. He was so here's actually a clue for you. I'm going to hold your hand a little bit. He was a TCU coach in the 20s, got us our first Southwest Conference championship, and then he coached for SMU on their 35 team that TCU split the national championship with. So it's the reverse Sonny Dykes, kind of, in a way.
Billy, I have the history of TCU football within arm's reach.
Yeah, it's over there. I can see it.
I can peek at it, but yeah. I have no clue. Forrest Gregg. That's just a guess, and it's a terrible guess.
Forrest Gregg did not ever coach the Horned Frogs. Billy, you going to take a shot at it?
No, Dutch Meyer.
No, not Dutch Meyer. Dutch Meyer did coach against him, but it's Matty Bell. Matty Bell is the answer. So
never heard that name before in my life.
Yeah.
There's only one Matty in my book at TCU, and that's Matty Lou.
I heard that. Yes. Hopefully he's watching. Love you, Matt. Okay. Prior to the Sun Bowl, the 98 Sun Bowl, which we both know, we all three know and love, TCU had not won a bowl game since 1957. In fact, they only attended 5 bowl games during that drought. What was that 1957 bowl victory?
We're making a lot of the old timers mad tonight.
Was that a Cotton?
It is a Cotton Bowl. Yes. Yeah. Do we know who it was against?
Oh, was that Syracuse?
Yes, Billy. Yes. The Cotton Bowl.
Good job, Billy.
Against Jim Brown's Syracuse.
Jim Brown's last game. I remember
that. Jim Brown's last game. And there's the iconic photo that was taken in the locker room at halftime of Abe Martin addressing the team that has been put several places. Okay. Question number 8. Besides Max Duggan, who is the first player to finish second in the Heisman voting for TCU? So obviously Davey O'Brien won. Who else finished second?
Was LT second?
LT was up there, wasn't he?
LT was not second. Shockingly, he was fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah, because there is no justice in this world. But who finished second? Do we know? I'll give you another guess.
Second Heisman.
We mentioned him earlier.
It's Sammy Ball. No?
Not Sammy Ball.
We mentioned him earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Was it that coach you said about 1,000 years ago?
No. It was Jim Swink. Jim Swink finished second in the Heisman.
Man.
Jim Swink.
The Rusk Rambler.
The Rusk Rambler, yes. And Dr. Jim Swink, actually.
Hopefully that gets me back in the good graces for the old timers.
Yeah, yes. Okay. TCU, question number 9. TCU is one of just 4 teams to have played in every single New Year's Six, BCS, college football playoff, whatever you want to call it, major bowl game. Okay, there's 4 teams in college football history that have played in all of the major bowl games. Who are the other 3 besides TCU? So we're talking Orange, Sugar, Rose, Fiesta. Yes, Orange, Sugar, Rose, Fiesta.
I think Ohio State and Texas, did they both just do it?
Ohio State has.
Yeah.
Texas has not.
I think Ohio State hit that this year.
What about Nebraska?
Nebraska, actually, that's a good guess, but Nebraska has not. You're not far off, though.
Not far off of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Think a rival.
A rival of Nebraska.
Colorado?
Well, more historic rival they don't play anymore.
Miami?
Miami is one, yes.
No.
That's not the rival I was thinking of.
Oh, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yes.
Wow.
Oklahoma is the other one. Okay, we'll give
Yeah.
you half a point for that one. We've gotten up to 5. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do our 10, and then I do have 2 bonus questions just to give you all an opportunity to, earn a little, or 1 bonus question, give you an opportunity to earn some extra juice. All right, this is a Fort Worth trivia question. Thanks to astronaut Alan Bean, what Fort Worth High School is the only school in the world that can boast having its flag on the moon?
Heights? Is the moon's really tall?
It's not Heights. It's not Heights.
Pascal?
It is Pascal. Yes.
There we go.
I was
down,
going to be the next
down to
guess.
those 2. I was down to those.
I was going with Pascal or Poly.
There you go.
Yeah, that would have been a good guess too. You think of old schools, Yeah, Pascal's got a flag on the moon. So here's a bonus question for you, just see if y'all know, because this is just too fantastic. So Davey O'Brien retired from the NFL, despite the Eagles giving him a $2,000 raise. Okay, he was like, "No, I don't really want to do this anymore. Not really feeling it." What did Davey O'Brien do for the 10 years after he retired? The first 10 years after he retired from the NFL? Do y'all know what he did?
Was he in a TV show too, or what?
No, he wasn't in a TV show. He probably should have had a TV show about him.
Oh, should have.
A lot of guys back in those days were going to the military, so I'm going to say military.
Yeah, it's kind of military adjacent.
It's the best I can do.
Yeah, I was going to say
he worked for the FBI. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like a weapons instructor at Quantico for the FBI. Davey O'Brien for 10 years. So there you go. Awesome. Hey, 6 out of 10 ain't bad. 6 out of 10 ain't bad. That's average. And Jeremy said C's get degrees. So that's all we're really trying to do here. Okay, gentlemen. So let's talk some Horned Frog football, something that we actually know about. What do you feel like okay. So this is also for all the other Big 12 fans out there who are listening. What do you feel like is the vibe in Fort Worth now surrounding TCU after last season going into this next season? And what should the vibe be? Like, should we be feeling confident? I mean, every August I'm trying to convince myself that we're not going undefeated, but what's the vibe as far as y'all can tell?
Jeremy, you want to take this one?
I mean, I think overall, when you look at last year, you saw a team that was 3-3. They had the bye week. Everyone's kind of wondering, is Sonny Dykes the right guy for the job? I mean, we were getting Sonny Dykes should be on the chopping block. I mean, that was how bad it was. You're going off a pretty bad season in 23 where they go 5-7, and you're not heading the right direction. And then the thing that turned around was they ended up the last 6 games of the regular season go 5-1, and they win the bowl game handily. They didn't have any issues at all with Louisiana, but a lot of cynics are going to say, well, yeah, they went 9-4, but look at the schedule. So they're not really giving a lot of credit to 9-4. The way I perceive it is a 9-4 team's a 9-4 team. It's hard to win college football games. Getting 9 wins is a pretty big thing. And the way they rebounded to finish out the season, close out the season, the things that we had questions about for the team, can they run the ball better? Can they tackle better? Can they get takeaways? A lot of the things we had questions about, we were starting to see them improve on. Did the schedule have a little bit to do with that? Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that, but also feel like TCU stepped up their game. And when you end the season on a high note like that, when you can win 6 out of your final 7 games, that's going to create some momentum. And what I saw in the spring, I saw a team that had a lot of chemistry despite so many new names. I saw a team that, in my opinion, has one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. If you haven't bought stock in Eric McAllister yet, I think you need to do it now because I think he's going to have a ton of catches. But I think overall, when you look at the scheme of things, Kendall Briles is going into his 3rd year. Andy Avalos is going into his 2nd year. The defense looks more comfortable. I think the expectations are high, and I think Sonny Dykes said it. And I think, everyone has that same perception that 9-4 was great last year, but we can go higher. I mean, there's no reason why they should not be competing for the Big 12 championship every year with what they have at TCU, from facilities, from NIL, from the recruiting that they get each year. So momentum, to me, and the perception around TCU right now is pretty high right now.
in this day and age, it feels like, do you have a quarterback? You have someone that you can trust, and that kind of builds confidence for the rest of the team. Hoover, I think you can make the argument for best quarterback in the Big 12. If not, he's top two, right? Him and the guy from Arizona State, Levitt. Like, I think those are your two best guys in the Big 12. So if you go into every game with the offense TCU's been managing under Bryles, scoring 30-plus points a game, it felt like every game down that last six out of 7 victories there. I think he got the confidence building on that offense. Doesn't matter, can they build enough around him after losing Besh and Savion? I think moving Savion to running back was the big thing that kind of saved the season last year is what it really felt like. But you have the quarterback, that you've got a guy that's going to keep you in every single game going forward. Confidence has got to be higher than I think expected around this time this year. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jeremy, you mentioned Eric McAllister. I feel like Eric McAllister was good for one 80-yard touchdown every game where, like, he caught the ball, turned around, and then left everybody in the dust. And it's like, maybe we should do that more often. I don't know. But, and I want to get into each position on this offense because I think there is a ton of potential, like you talk about, and a ton of momentum coming off the end of last season. But I want to really get into something that TCU is doing differently than a lot of other Big 12 teams specifically. I've had a lot of team previews here where they're talking about, like, hey, we've got a whole new offensive line in the portal, and isn't that great? And we've all seen the stuff about Texas Tech spending money like it's going out of style, completely rebuilding their roster entirely by money whipping guys in the portal, whereas TCU is trying to lean into as old school as you can be in this NIL era, where it's like, okay, pay the guys you have so that you can keep that development cycle going, and then they get to be juniors and seniors, and maybe you can actually do something. So my question to y'all is, which is the right way to do it? Who do you think between Tech and TCU is going to prove that they are doing this the correct way? Should you be building more from the portal, or should you be keeping guys around? What do you think?
Billy, you want to take it first?
Yeah, I'll take it first. I think the portal giveth and it taketh away, right? You can hit it on one year, you can totally miss another. Perfect example, my wife went to Florida State. They crushed the portal the one year, went undefeated, and the next year got stuck with a used car in DJU and went 2-10, right? So the portal, it's totally a crapshoot. These guys are they expecting to do well. But if you look at teams like Georgia and Alabama, they're built around their high school guys, and they're bringing in 2 or 3 pieces, little finishing things off the top of it to put them over the edge. But in reality, I think 90% of the rosters nowadays are just built from high school. They're just retaining that talent and getting that depth that you need nowadays with football.
I think the biggest thing for TCU and Sonny, and just talking so many times with him about this, is roster retention. He's going to take care of his roster first. He's going to take care of his guys first. And it's like that because we always get the gripes. TCU needs to back up the Brinks truck for some 5-star recruit or 4-star recruit. And I keep telling them till I'm blue in the face and I'm going to explode one day because I say it so much. That's not their style. They're not going to go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for an unproven player that hasn't played a snap of college football. Whereas TCU's model's kind of been, we can go after the big guys that are transferring from the SEC schools and, take a chance on some of those guys, but we're also going to go after the guys that have just simply played a lot of college football, whether that's at a G5 level. Like last year, you had a couple really nice transfer additions that made some plays for TCU that came from Lamarian James. I mean, he came from Old Dominion. I mean, who expected him to have the same the kind of year he had last year? But that's the kind of players they're going to attract. But I agree with Billy 1,000%. You develop those high school kids and you try to keep those guys in your program as long as you can and pay them the way you need to pay them. I mean, they're not going to pay an over exuberant amount. They're going to pay what the market calls for. But what I think is really important to make fans understand this is if you look at TCU's roster, there wasn't a whole lot of guys leaving. I mean, they did not have a lot of kids entering the portal. And I think that is huge. I think the spring transfer window, they only had 3 players hit the portal. And in this day and age of college football, sometimes they leave at their own accord. Sometimes you have these exit meetings and you talk to these players, and maybe it is best to go down the road to a school where you can get some playing time because maybe you are 4th or 5th on the depth chart here. So
and sometimes there's tampering with your starters. That happens too.
Right, exactly. We all saw that a few weeks ago. So I think they're doing it the right way. I think the fact of the matter is they want to develop those guys, especially in the offensive line, because the offensive line, I'll tell you right now, and we can get into this and have a completely different show. The offensive tackles are the most overpaid transfer players in the portal. Those guys get so much more than, yeah, there you go, your lineman hat. Those guys are getting way more than what market value normally calls for. So I think the fact that they have some guys that they've developed, guys like Ryan Hughes, we'll talk about later, but they're using that model to try to keep guys around, try to develop that high school talent, build the recruiting classes, and move forward and try to keep guys here and taking care of them. And I think it speaks volumes that you had such a minimal amount of kids. That tells me there are two things, actually. The coaches are treating those kids right. And number two, the kids just love being at TCU. They don't want to leave. So that's their motto. Don't make kids want to leave. And they're doing a great job at doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's get into this offense a little bit more nuts and bolts wise. We know what we've got in quarterback with Josh Hoover, and I think y'all are absolutely on the money saying that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. In what is an extremely deep quarterback league, there is a lot of very good quarterbacks in the Big 12 going into 2025, and everybody's sleeping on Josh Hoover. Let him go ahead and do it. Okay, let him find out in September, October, November. But I want to talk about this line first. Okay, because this is where it all begins and ends. And this is where we saw a lot of our biggest struggles, I feel like, offensively, and that we couldn't run the ball for so much of last year. Now, the offensive line did come along as we got toward the end of the year. There's also the question of who is going to be primarily carrying the load behind them. But Jeremy and Billy, do you think with those two new young tackles, Ben Taylor Whitfield and Ryan Hughes, now being thrust fully into that starting role, and an interior that has had now 2 seasons playing together, do you like what the potential this offensive line has going into this next season?
I like the potential. I liked what I saw in spring ball. Now, there's a caveat here. This is spring ball. There's going to be great plays from the offense. Is that because the offensive line is great, or is that because the defensive line can't stop the run?
The eternal question.
We saw this last year. I mean, everyone was blowing up Horned Frog Blitz and blowing up what Sonny Dykes was saying because of a certain running back they had that did not have a good year. He's gone now, and now it's a new group at running back. But I love the fact that Ryan Hughes is kind of taking over that left tackle spot. Looks great in spring ball, but I think the two biggest things I think are different that are going to make them better. Cade Bennett is healthy now. He got to TCU last year as one of those guys I was telling you about earlier. Hey, let's just find a guy that's played a lot of football. He's played a ton of football, was an all-conference kid at San Diego State. He's healthy now. He's manning that left guard spot. Colton Deary playing center. I'll probably get a text message. I'll probably get a call. I think he's going to be better there than James Brockemeyer. I really do. Sorry to say that about an All Saints kid, Clint, but I really feel like Colton Deary is going to be an upgrade at center. And what I saw from spring camp, there was a lot of big runs on the left side of the line behind Ryan Hughes and behind Cade Bennett. Colton Deary does a great job of being the quarterback of the offensive line, directing guys. Right guard's still going to be a question. Carson Bruno started there last year. He was out all spring camp. So we saw some guys like Remington Strickland step up. Cooper Powers stepped up a little bit. But I feel like Carson Bruno is probably going to retain that spot when he gets back and healthy. And then you mentioned Ben Taylor Whitfield. Ben Taylor Whitfield has quietly played a lot of football games, if that makes sense. He's a big kid. He started, I think, the last 9 games last year for the Frogs. This kid was had 3 offers out of high school from Duncanville, and he's played a ton of football for a Big 12 program that is going to compete for the Big 12 championship this year. And I think if you look at those starting 5, it's all about, you got those guys, but who's the next 3? Who's the next 4? AJ Ricker's always trying to find a good, solid 8 to 10 linemen. And right now I feel like they've probably got a good 7 right now.
It sounds like you just rattled off a pretty solid 2 deep, I'll be honest. That's the big thing on the line, especially they struggled so much at the beginning of last year, really formed into their own, a lot more experience. And like it sounds like there's a lot of depth. And you mentioned finding 7 to 8 guys. I think you rattled off 10 to 12 names that you feel pretty good about. And again, you watch a lot more spring ball than I did. But I do like those names you're saying. I think a lot of it experience, especially on the interior lines, going to help, maybe especially in those short distance game plays where he's kind of struggled in the past, some goal line packages. Get some meat in there, get some size and experience. I think it's going to be a solid unit. So.
I will say this: the short yardage stuff where it seemed like TCU couldn't get last year until they moved Savion to running back. I feel more comfortable saying I feel like that problem isn't going to be as prevalent this year as it was last year. I feel like they've got a good offensive line in place. They were already good enough as pass protectors, but I feel like they really put it upon themselves as a group to get better at creating run lanes. And they showed that. There was short yardage situations during practices this year where they really focused on trying to get 3-4 yards, 2 yards at goal line. And I feel like they really did good by moving the line. Now, it wasn't consistent all the time, but it was an improvement from what I saw last spring.
It seemed like it. I know Clint will probably take us here in a second, but I got some questions about the defensive line too. But let's keep talking offense. So.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when we talk about who's going to run behind this line, I feel like the Payne train, Jeremy Payne, and Nate Palmer. Those are probably your two obvious guys. Maybe John Denman gets in there a little bit as a freshman. Trent Battle. Hopefully you see Trent Battle catching more balls. But let's talk about, I think it was Billy that mentioned who replaces Savion and Besh and Richardson, right? We lost 3 stellar wide receivers there. And there's a lot of options besides just, I think Eric McAllister, like you said, Jeremy, will have a breakout year. But, what do we think about Jordan Dwyer? That's our one big transfer that came in. What do we think about the kid from Amarillo, whose name is escaping me? Major Everhart, Jordan Bailey, or maybe some of these freshmen. Who really should Horned Frog fans have their eyes on as playmakers at wide receiver?
Do we not feel good about Manjack? Is that still a thing?
Oh, Manjack too. Yeah, Manjack.
Yeah, that's a guy that I kind of feels like a little bit could be Jack Beshy. Like it could be a guy that comes in and put us some good numbers. Also got a similar facial structure as well. I've noticed. That's why I have the analogy. But that's a guy I think it could be really exciting for fans to watch too. I think the offense is going to be great. Hoover's going to throw for 300 yards a game. Plenty of targets to go around for these guys too.
Last year we saw Eric McAllister kind of be that sixth man of the offense. He would come in at key times, like you said, Clinton. It seemed like he would just rattle off a big play. And this year, the guy that I've kind of pinpointed to be Eric McAllister type receiver won't start, but he's going to come in and make some plays as Dozie, Ezukanma.
Oh, Ezukanma.
Dozie, he weighed 170 pounds soaking wet when he first got to TCU last year. He's a solid 195 now. Had a phenomenal spring. He was running with the twos a lot, and it's funny to watch spring camp because the dudes, like the dudes who they are. Eric McAllister is one of the dudes, so he could just someone's dog does not agree with me, but Eric would just kind of do the Jalen Rager, the Quentin Johnston, the Savion Williams, just go drink his water jug to the side and hey. You guys know what I can do. Let the young guys get in there. And Dozie took advantage of that and made some big plays. But Manjack, Dwyer, those guys are going to fill in nicely. But those are huge questions still. You lose 2 NFL receivers. John Paul Richardson is another guy I felt like should have been drafted. He's a huge shoes to fill. But I liked what I saw in spring camp. I think there is a load of talent there. There's speed, there's size, there's guys that can go up and catch the football. I'm excited to see what they do. But by stopping McAllister, for crying out loud, buy it now. And he had 8 catches in the bowl game in the first half. He could have broke the school record, but they wanted him to make sure, you're not getting him hurt against a team that has no chance to come back from 31 points. So let it be.
My dog's she saw that play by Jordan Bailey against Oklahoma State, and this wants to hype up the Jordan Bailey train, that crazy touchdown he had late in the year last year. She was going to word it.
Here's a name for you guys that love the true freshman. Everyone always wants to start their true freshman on college football or whatever, play the rookies on Madden. Ed Small. Ed Small is going to be the
hearing that name.
Ed Small is a guy that Sonny Dykes absolutely loves. He's obviously was committed to Texas for baseball, decided I want to do this football thing more, so flipped to TCU. Man, I'm telling you right now, that kid has been impressive ever since I've known him, and I feel like he's going to be someone. He's not going to have 60 catches, but he's going to be we're going to mention Ed Small's name at some point this season. That's going to come down with a big play, and we're going to be thanking Ed Small, the true freshman.
Love it, love it, love it. So we're going to talk about the defense, but first, quick message from the boss man.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
Okay, so let's talk about this defense, specifically that defensive line that I know Billy wants to talk about, which was another source of some pain last year. Let's be honest. Now, some of that, I don't think that people understand enough how big of a role injuries played in that. But, Jeremy, there's a lot of talent on that defensive line. How are we feeling about it? What should we expect? Is it going to be that much better? And is it going to be able to facilitate all of those aggressive blitzes out of the 3-3-5 that Andy Avalos wants to do?
Let me preface what I'm about to say, and that I like Caleb Fox, I like Tamon Mitchell, and I like Hakeem. I'm not going to try to say his last name. It's very hard to say. But I really feel like the next crop of defensive linemen they have coming up are better. I mean, we saw Marcus Dill really take hold of that nose tackle position late in the season. If he's playing against Baylor, I really feel like TCU wins that game. He was such a force in run defense. Ansel getting him back home, Melito kid. He is such a high motor kid. It was so fun watching that kid. The team loves that guy. He brings such good energy. I feel like those two guys are really, really good. Beyond those two guys, there's a lot of question marks. They got kids that don't have a ton of experience. Tristan Johnson, I feel, is going to be very good. That's the name everyone I spoke with just kept talking about. Tristan Johnson this, Tristan Johnson that. He worked a lot with the second team. Connor Lindgren, he was a force at College Station out of high school. It was such a great late addition to their class. I can't remember what signing class he was out of, but there was a ton of teams after him. Came to TCU as a DT, went to offensive line, moved back to defensive line, played some meaningful snaps last year. He was really good in spring. But there's a lot of talent, a lot of potential beyond those guys. I just don't know how well it's going to be when it comes to rotation. Kelton Mickle, Percy Cole. They lost Avion Carter to the transfer portal. I don't think he was a guy that was seen a lot of time. Sterling Brooks is the biggest defensive lineman. He's still trying to come into his own. I still think he's another year away. But I feel if the top
He's 335.
Yeah,
335.
He's a force. I'm just going to tell you. But I feel like if Kelton Mickle can come on a little bit stronger, he showed some really good flashes. He's a bowling ball. He's not your 6'3", 6'4" defensive lineman. He's probably 6'1", but he's got such a quick first step, and he's really, really powerful. But those guys, Marcus Dill and Ansel, are going to be so important. They got to stay healthy. But I feel like they have the potential to be 6 deep. But right now, I would say they're probably 3.5, maybe 4, if Connor still continues to play the way he did in the spring.
Do we like Zach Chapman at all? Was that you didn't mention that name?
Well, I was thinking of it interior.
Oh, yeah.
Zach moved from interior to edge. If we want to talk edge, I mean, I was going to start with the interior because they're basically two different positions. But
yeah, Zach
Chapman might have been one of my top 3 players to watch this spring. He reminds me so much of me personally, just how athletic he is. But no, he is a humongous kid. He like when I see him, he looks NFL ready. He's a legit 6'5". He's 255, 260 pounds. He's so fast off the edge. Does a great job using his arms. he's going to be the guy that he was an All-American by the Athletic last year as an interior, as a 3-tech, but they moved him out to edge. And man, he made so many great plays in the spring. I can't wait to see how much he's going to play once Paul gets back. Remember Paul, he's, we haven't seen him in basically a year and a half. Michael, we haven't seen Michael since the Michigan game in the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, he came in late in that game just to rush the quarterback. So you don't have those two guys that went through spring, but you have guys like Zach Chapman, Travis Jackson, who played every game last year as a true freshman. The edge position, Chad Woodfork, potential through the roof. I really like the edge position. Edge position might be my top 3 position group in the entire roster. That's how great I feel about that group.
Man, that's huge. That's huge for these blitz packages too.
1 and 2.
What's that?
Who's 1 and 2, Jeremy? If they're 3 or the top 3, who else in the top 3?
I mean, that's going to be a question because I've had conversations. Just wait till we get fully healthy, and when you don't have a fully healthy Paul out there or Michael out there, those two guys, just seeing them if you've never been to a TCU practice and you go to where the purple jerseys are working out, which is the defense. If I've never seen them, I'm immediately asking, okay, who the heck is number 97 and who the heck is number 6? That's Michael's number now. He switched from 94. Because athletically and just physically, they're the 2 most impressive guys on that defense. But like I said, they haven't played any football hardly in the last year. And so how fast can they navigate playing against other competition? They're still going to be, if I'm TCU, if I'm the coaches, I'm not going to rush those guys back in fall camp because I want them healthy when they go to North Carolina. I want them healthy when they play the rest of the 25 season. I want those guys to be available. But they're talented enough to come in and rotate. Hey, let's play Paul first and second down, or let's play Paul first down, or let's play Zach first down, second down. They're so interchangeable. They're pretty even to me. And I think the emergence of Zach and Travis at edge has made them so much better. I mean, I just can't express it enough. I feel like they're going to do a great job of getting to the quarterback. I'm not going to say it reminds me of the GP era as far as defensive ends go.
It's just different.
The size is definitely bigger, but a guy like Chad Woodfork does remind me of a GP defensive end, just a 6'4", 225, 230-pound kid that can really get off the edge fast and get to the quarterbacks. It feels like that entire group, even though they're bigger, has that ability. They just really have a quick, explosive first step. They don't let linemen get their hands on them to gain that leverage, and they do a good job of getting to the quarterback. So I feel like just having those guys there on the defensive line is going to help. And I've talked to Andy about it 100 times. Every year, he's told me, every year his defense has gone well, his defensive line has been strong. I'm going to tell you, they are very, very excited about the defensive line right now.
Nice. Well, and some good-looking linebackers backing them up, too. I mean, we got Obiezor back. We got Caleb Elamsor back. And Max Carroll. We think Max Carroll could maybe make an impact this year? I mean, talk to me about linebackers, Jeremy.
Well, Max kind of reminds me of Caleb did. Caleb finished 4th on the team in tackles, I believe, and he didn't even start. And you had Namdi and Johnny, my boy Johnny Hodges, that started at linebacker. But Caleb and Namdi, I really think I'm going to have you thinking TCU's going to the playoffs when we get off this call, Clint, because
hype me up.
I got to wait 99 days for this. Come on.
But I really do feel like if they're healthy, I feel like Namdi and Caleb are 2 of the better linebackers in the Big 12, just as I feel Josh is one of the better quarterbacks. I think if you look at the stats, Namdi's proven it the last 2 years. When I watch that kid, I look at him 6'3", 235 pounds. He's, it's 5'11", 190 as a high school senior. It's just amazing to see his transformation. But those 2 guys are big time. Max Carroll's going to be a guy that plays a lot. Michael Thiessen, the guy that got out of Missouri State from the transfer portal, he's going to make a lot of plays. He's big and athletic. But like I said, with the defensive line, you get beyond those 4 guys, you don't want to get beyond those 4 guys. You do not want to have to rely, not that they're talented, not talented, I mean, but they're young. You have walk-ons, you have freshmen. It's a position that's going to have a lot of question marks if they have some guys get injured. So as long as Namdi and Caleb and Max remain healthy, and maybe the emergence of Michael from Missouri State, I think they'll be fine at linebacker.
Yeah, and a lot of good defensive backs. I mean, I think if Avery Helm can stay healthy, Channing Canada. I mean, obviously Bud Clark is back for another go round. Like, we love to see that.
Were you surprised that Bud came back, by the way? That kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, I was really surprised, simply because he walked. I mean, he walked on senior day. I mean, come on. I mean, when you walk on senior day, you're kind of like, well, his mind wasn't made up, but he was going to walk just in case, so he could say I walked out of Amon or the Carter the last time. But yeah, I was kind of surprised until about 2 weeks prior to his announcement. I kept hearing whispers about it, kept hearing more and more whispers about it, and then finally I saw him at practice, or saw him somewhere, and just said, "Hey man, you coming back? It's I'm your uncle, man. I've took care of you. We're Clarks. Just tell me." And he's like, he just got that big old Bud Clark smile, and I just knew then that he was coming back. But of course, I just told him, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to wait till you announce. I'm not going to steal your thunder." But yeah, it was really cool to see him come back, because Bud is such a leader, man. Just having that guy back on this defense is going to help them incredibly. I mean, you can't replace Bud Clark. If they would have lost him, it would have been abysmal not seeing his energy. Even he didn't even go through spring camp, man, but the energy was still there. Just the way he hypes up his teammates. He gets into the grill of the offensive guys, gets under their skins, and then he messes with them, then he loves on them. It's fun to watch, because he is just the ultimate guy. I guarantee if you ask 100 of those players out there who's the team leader, 99 of them are going to say Bud Clark, and probably the only one that won't say it is him, because he doesn't want to take all that hype and pressure on himself. He wants other people to do it with him. But yeah, Bud Clark's one of a kind.
Well, so I think there's a lot of consensus between the three of us that TCU is going to be good next year, right? But here is the kicker. TCU's schedule is, oh my God, who out there hates us? Why is this so hard? TCU has back-to-back playoff teams from last season, obviously opening up the year with Bill Belichick's North Carolina, which obviously might be more of a circus than an actual challenge. I guess that remains to be seen. But a lot of tough games. You got to go to Kansas State. You got to go to West Virginia, to BYU, who's going to be really, really good. And then, of course, you got Baylor at home. You're playing Iowa State at home, which Iowa State's going to be a good team. You managed to avoid Tech, but I think I'd rather play Tech, to be honest with you, than some of these teams. Is this a schedule that we can get to Arlington with, I guess, is my question, boys?
I think it's tough, man. I really do. I think they wallop North Carolina. I'm not too worried about that. That is a circus, but you look at the Big 12 schedule, it's a lot of tough road games. Kansas State's kind of been a house of horrors in recent years. Arizona State's on the rise. BYU is always a tough place to go play. West Virginia is a tough place to go play. These road games are freaking ridiculous, man. I feel good once you get past BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati. But the first half of the schedule is just ridiculous.
When you said back-to-back playoff teams, I'm like, who the heck was back-to-back playoff teams? And I forget SMU made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I predicted that last year, by the way. But I'm with Billy, man. The schedule is obviously so much harder than it was last year. You have to go to Arizona State. Billy mentioned him earlier. Sam Levitt's one of the best quarterbacks. There is no denying he's one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the Big 12, but I think the nation. I think he's a really good player. They don't have Scattaboo anymore, so I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. But they've got it rolling out there at Arizona State. But going on the road to K-State, Billy hit the nail on the head again. It's tough. They don't have a great time in Manhattan. It is not fun. It's a tough place to get wins. Kansas State's coming off a so-so year. I think they have a lot of good guys coming back. Avery Johnson's a really good quarterback. The rest of the road games, BYU will be tough. I think they're going to have it out for Houston. I think they want to get Houston back from that embarrassing loss last year. But West Virginia, shout out to Jaden Obercrom. It's always been tough to win at West Virginia. I mean, just same as Kansas State. But the good news is they don't have to play Texas Tech. You never know what you're going to get when you play those guys. You don't have to play an Oklahoma State and Stillwater. That's always a good thing. They don't have to go to Stillwater. But I really feel like the toughest games on the schedule, and as hard as it is for me to admit it sometimes, I think that game against SMU is going to be really tough. They got some good players coming back. I think the Baylor game's still going to be tough. Obviously, I've mentioned them already, Kansas State and Arizona State and Iowa State. Iowa State they lost 2 really good receivers themselves. They lost some good production on offense. They're always sneaky good on defense, but I like the fact that they're playing them at home. Mm-hmm. TCU is a different team against Iowa State and Fort Worth for whatever reason, except for when Trevon Boykin was there. They were different when Trey was there. But this schedule, I still feel like, just looking at it, I still feel like they can make it to Arlington. But the ultimate thing is they got to remain healthy.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the way I keep talking myself off the cliff with the schedule is I was convinced last year that the back half of our schedule was going to be impossible, right? Playing Arizona and playing Oklahoma State and all these teams we thought going in to this last year were going to be studs. And then it ended up being a cakewalk. And we're like, oh my God, why didn't we win the Big 12 like with the schedule that we had? So I guess anything can happen. And there's so much parity in this league, which is why it's so fun to watch. But yeah, this is I truly am like, who out there hates us at the Big 12 offices? Because
it's so tough to do predictions because, like you said, that you never know what you're going to get. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, everyone thought Utah was a top 10 team.
Yeah, Utah was another one. Yeah.
And TCU got fortunate enough to be playing a true freshman quarterback. And you look at BYU. BYU can very easily come back down to earth next year.
We'll see if Brett Slav is playing, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just it's fun. It's fun to look at, but I feel like if they can get out, like I'm with Billy. I've already said at the beginning of the show, I don't feel anything like I did 2 years ago when TCU was playing Colorado. I know it's a different staff. I know it's different players, but man, when they played Colorado, I tell everyone this analogy, like when you prepare for a team, you watch 10 feet of film. Mm-hmm. When you prepared for Colorado, it's like watching 100 yards of film because you had so many new transfers. You had so many different coaches that you didn't know a whole lot about. You had players like Shedeur Sanders, who I'll fully admit, I did not think Shedeur Sanders was very good out of high school. I thought he was overrated.
The NFL, you know?
Yeah, I thought he was overrated. I was kind of like, why is all this hype around Shedeur Sanders? And then he comes out and has his performance he had against TCU. But I feel like obviously playing Abilene Christian, they almost beat Texas Tech last year. I mean, who would have thought that? But that's going to be a fun game for TCU offensively, of course. But man, if they can just get, like we say it every year, if they can just get that first half of the season, and if they're looking at a 4-2 or 5-1 or possibly 6-0, then I think it's a really good possibility they could end up in Arlington. But they've got some tough challenges this year.
Well, let me end with this, and then I got to give the dog a bath, apparently. So if y'all had to make a call right now for who those two teams in Arlington are, what is your prediction?
Kansas State and Iowa State.
Farmageddon, starting the season with Farmageddon and ending the season with Farmageddon.
Doubling to Dallas, baby. Doubling to Arlington. Let's go.
Wow.
I feel sorry for those fans, by the way.
Yeah, imagine fans having to go to Ireland, and lose
for Farmageddon. That's not a game you take to Ireland.
They've already had a Farmageddon,
So much Guinness, man.
Potato famine.
So much Guinness.
I'm gonna go with the two teams that you feel are going to be in the Big 12 championship. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Arizona State, and I'm gonna go with the TCU Horned Frogs.
Ooh, okay. Okay. I'm going out on a similar limb. I keep saying this one. I'm seeing a TCU Baylor Big 12 championship, and the hate in that building is going to feed families. Okay. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And hopefully we can get SMU in what is apparently our last game ever, which, that's a whole nother hour-long conversation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you, what you're up to. Let me roll out the red carpet for you, purple carpet.
Well, you can find me. You can find me over at hornfrogblitz.com. Year 21, covering the Horned Frogs, covering recruiting and team football.
Gary Patterson of reporting, dare I say.
Yeah. Jamie Plunkett's over there with me, does a phenomenal job with basketball, baseball coverage. On Twitter, this is long, at J Clark, HFB 247, or X, if you want to call it X. I still call it Twitter for some reason. It's a hard habit to break, but that's where you can find me, guys.
I'm just a fan, Billy Wessels. I look at Twitter every once in a while, but I've pretty much gotten rid of that. Now just kind of hanging out, just a fan, just learning from Jeremy, not like all of us.
You can also see both of these guys on my documentary, Remember the Alamo Bowl, which will be dropping this fall for all of you to see. So get excited about that. I'm so excited to share it with everybody. I just, don't know what else to say other than that. But yes, follow me at Clint_Foster55 on Twitter and at Clint Foster Creations here on YouTube. And please make sure you're subscribing to the show at Big 12 CFB. Follow all of our socials, download all of the podcasts, do all of the things. Next week, we're a little in flux. It might be Kansas week next week, and it might be Texas Tech week, but I'll let you know one way or another. But either way, until then, I hope your team wins. I love you, and go Big 12. See you around, folks.